Jefferson Airplane's ascendancy. As the thick, cool fog rolled over San Francisco Bay in the mid-1960s, it carried with it the seeds of a cultural revolution. The city was a magnet for a generation disillusioned with post-war conformity. The beat poets had already left their mark, and their spirit of intellectual rebellion now mingled with a burgeoning youth movement. Coffee houses in North Beach buzzed with radical conversation. Haight-Ashbury's Victorian houses were being repainted in a kaleidoscope of psychedelic colors, and from the city's heart, a new kind of music, a strange swirling electric sound, began to seep from basement clubs and dawn-lit apartments. In this vibrant, turbulent landscape, a unique band was about to take flight, becoming the sonic architects of an era. It began, not surprisingly, with a gathering of restless souls searching for a new mode of expression. In 1965, Marty Balin, a charismatic folk singer with a soaring tenor voice and a vision of fusing folk's lyrical sincerity with rock and roll's raw excitement, decided to create a home for this new sound. He co-founded The Matrix, a club on Fillmore Street that quickly became a crucible for musical experimentation. It was here, on August 13, 1965, that Jefferson Airplane first took to the stage. The initial lineup featured Marty Balin's passionate vocals, Paul Kantner's rhythmic 12-string guitar, Signe Tully Anderson's powerful blues-tinged contralto, Jorma Kaukonen's astonishingly nimble lead guitar work, Bob Harvey on bass, and Jerry Peliquin on drums. Their name, quirky, unconventional, and evocative, was the brainchild of Jorma, who jokingly coined it as a riff on a friend's nickname, which itself was a nod to blues legend Blind Lemon Jefferson. The name stuck, perfectly capturing their blend of American roots and otherworldly exploration. From the outset, the Airplanes soared above the burgeoning scene. They became the house band of the counterculture, their music the living soundtrack to the Haight-Ashbury experiment. Their early sound was a potent brew of folk rock, but Kaukonen's virtuosic blues-drenched guitar licks and the band's growing interest in improvisation pushed them into uncharted territory. Whether it was in the humid, incense-filled rooms of The Matrix, the storied halls of Bill Graham's Fillmore Auditorium, or at open-air human being gatherings in Golden Gate Park, their performances blazed with a wild, unpredictable energy. They were the sonic explorers of this new frontier, their music a clarion call to a generation eager to break from conformity, a soundtrack for thinkers, dreamers, and rebels alike. Fueling their rise was their uncanny ability to capture the era's paradoxical spirit of liberation and unrest. They were more than musicians. They were standard-bearers for a counterculture that challenged the Vietnam War, championed civil rights, and demanded a more authentic way of living. Their stage became a multimedia canvas, often adorned with psychedelic liquid light shows projected by artists like Bill Ham, their visuals swirling and pulsing in time with the music. Their audiences were a sea of faces, students, artists, and runaways, hungry not just for sound, but for meaning and community. Then, in late 1966, came a pivotal gust of wind. Signe Anderson, having just had a child, decided to leave the band. The search for a new female vocalist led them to Grace Slick, the formidable frontwoman of another local band, The Great Society. Slick was a force of nature. A former model from a well-to-do family, she possessed a sharp intellect, a commanding stage presence, and a voice that could cut through steel, a powerful, precise instrument that carried rock's roar and blues sorrow. With her came two songs that would change the band's destiny: Somebody to Love, a defiant anthem of romantic yearning written by her brother-in-law, and White Rabbit, her own masterwork. Around the same time, the rhythm section solidified into its classic form with the arrival of Jack Casati on bass and Spencer Dryden on drums. Casati, a childhood friend of Kaukonen, was a bass virtuoso whose melodic, fluid lines became a defining feature of the band's sound, while Dryden's jazz-inflected drumming provided a sophisticated, dynamic foundation. The chemistry of this six-piece lineup was immediate and explosive. They were ready to break boundaries. Inside RCA's Studio B in Hollywood, they channeled this newfound energy into their sophomore album. With producer Rick Gerard, they crafted Surrealistic Pillow, a fever dream committed to vinyl. The album was a landmark fusion of folk rock charm, electric intensity, and lyrical surrealism. Songs spiraled from delicate acoustic ballads like Today to rip-roaring anthems. The intricate three-part harmonies of Balin, Slick, and Kantner became a signature, weaving together in a rich tapestry of sound. Jorma's guitar shimmered and howled, while Jack's bass lines wove through it all, functioning as a second lead instrument. Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead was present during the recordings, acting as a spiritual advisor and contributing subtle arrangement ideas, further cementing the album's San Francisco pedigree. When Surrealistic Pillow landed in record stores during 1967's Summer of Love, its ripples became tidal waves. Somebody to Love climbed the charts, its urgent cry for connection becoming an anthem for a generation. Then came White Rabbit. With its bolero rhythm, ominous crescendo, and drug-laced allusions to Alice in Wonderland, the song was unlike anything on mainstream radio. It was a haunting, intellectual, and subversive masterpiece that confronted listeners with its famous closing lines, "Feed your head." The album soared into the Billboard Top 5, launched on the winds of FM radio and word of mouth. People everywhere, across college campuses, from small-town bedrooms to urban protests, heard and felt the airplane. Their anthems became part of the cultural DNA of the late 60s. That year, their electrifying set at the Monterey International Pop Festival, a defining moment of the Summer of Love, introduced them to a national audience and solidified their status as rock royalty. As the decade grew more tumultuous, the band's music evolved with it. The experimental, sprawling After Bathing at Baxter's, 1967, was a direct artistic rebuttal to the commercial pressures that followed Surrealistic Pillow. It was followed by the heavier, more polished Crown of Creation, 1968, and most pointedly, Volunteers, 1969. The title track of Volunteers was an unambiguous call to action. Got a revolution, got to revolution, that captured the militant, anti-establishment mood of the time. Their performance at the Woodstock Festival in August 1969 was legendary. They took the stage early Sunday morning, greeting the dawn and the mud-stained, weary crowd with a set that was both defiant and celebratory. Just a few months later, they would also witness the dark side of the era at the disastrous Altamont Free Concert, where Marty Balin was knocked unconscious by a Hell's Angel during their set, an event that for many symbolized the violent end of the hippie dream. Jefferson Airplane's influence spread far beyond San Francisco. They, along with the Grateful Dead, Quicksilver Messenger Service, and Big Brother and the Holding Company, had defined the San Francisco sound, inspiring countless bands to stretch and innovate. They embraced studio technology, using reverb and feedback not as errors, but as expressive tools, shattering the 3-minute pop song in favor of jarring breakdowns, sprawling jams, and bewitching harmonies. Lyrically, they led listeners on journeys of mind expansion, political awakening, and self-discovery. With success came acknowledgement. The Airplane was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996. Their records won accolades, and Surrealistic Pillow is enshrined as one of the great musical achievements of the era. As the 1970s dawned, the band's internal dynamics shifted, and the members began to move on to other adventures. Jorma Kaukonen and Jack Casati formed Hot Tuna, a side project that became their main focus, allowing them to delve deeper into their love for American blues and roots music. Paul Kantner and Grace Slick, meanwhile, steered the ship in a new direction, eventually transforming it into the stadium rock behemoth Jefferson Starship. Today, Jefferson Airplane's music remains a touchstone for old fans and new explorers alike. Their story is one of fearless reinvention, communal spirit, and artistic courage, a vivid reminder of a time when music became more than just songs, and a band became the voice of a movement. As the final chords of White Rabbit echo and fade, their legacy is clear. From a smoky San Francisco stage to the global consciousness, Jefferson Airplane invited us all to join the journey, to question authority, to dream the impossible, and to let our hearts and minds take flight.